In this video today, I'm going to share with you the 4T method, which was founded and created by myself, Nika, from True Self Mastery. This is the hormonal step-by-step guide to regain your inner strength, to not only rebalance your hormones, but to thrive from the inside out. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's how you feel when everything is in alignment in terms of when your hormones are functioning as best they can. Will there ever be a balance of utopia where everything is always the same? No, because that's how you grow. These periods of disturbance, dysregulation is how you grow. But it's where we get stuck in that dysregulation and these hormonal imbalances affect our symptoms that the 4T method comes in and it works. I have helped hundreds of ladies between the ages of 30 and 70 that are going through either a awful menstruation cycle, so if they're suffering with endometriosis, PCOS, or just no idea why their periods are so painful. Number two, females that are going through like perimenopause, into menopause, or even postmenopausal years. Because ladies, females, if you're in those postmenopausal years, you are the wisest and you've gone through the change. So your time to thrive, if you haven't already done it, is now. There's no better time and place to do it. Who am I? I'm Nika from True Self Mastery, and I work one-to-one with females online, helping them optimize their health, optimize their hormones. And I do this so that by the end of working with me, you have a hormonal Bible, a guidebook that is just yours. Before I get started, I am on the floor. This is me, just chilled. I am sat on the floor and I'm actually in an apartment Airbnb in Cape Town. So I'm just going to show you this place because it's pretty epic. So I've shut the doors because it's quite loud with the traffic, but you can see Table Mountain there. Maybe you can't. And that's Lion's Head, which we hiked the other day. So awesome. Pretty steep. Like if you're going to do it early hours because it gets busy, and there's some steep ladders as well. And that's the kitchen. So I love this place. If you've never been to Cape Town, I really recommend it. So I'm going to deep dive into these 4 method, and I've got my notes here. So in case you're thinking, what are you doing? Look at the side. I'm looking at my notes. First of all, why do I do what I do? Personally, I got to the point where I was in such a bad place with my periods. I mean, to the point of having to go to bed with a nappy, a thick pad, and a tampon, which I would have bled through in an hour. The amount of mattresses and duvets and sheets that I bled through was embarrassing. Like, it's not a great thing to do. And it's not normal. And this is the key thing I really want to take home with, if you're watching this right now and you still have a period, the blessing of a period, then if you're struggling with that pain and the thickness and the flow being heavy, it's not normal at all. I was diagnosed with PCOS 1 and 2, which there are actually 4 types. I've done a whole video on this. So if you want the link to that, comment below or check out my YouTube channel. I had type 1 inflammation and type 2 insulin resistance, which meant that I was gaining weight, had awful skin acne to the point of it was diagnosed as adult acne in my late 20s. The pain was excruciating. I was too stubborn to take steroids. I didn't want to. I didn't feel like I should be taking steroids because I was like, I've had good skin my whole life. Why have I suddenly got adult acne? And it was my PCOS flare-up, which I didn't know, but now I do. So the other thing that manifested with me was weight gain. So I was going to the gym. I was eating what people would say would be healthy food, but all that was happening is I was gaining weight. I was, especially around the midriff and the back, you know what I mean if you're someone who struggles with this, to have it around like your back area and your belly, it's just debilitating. You hate looking in the mirror. You wear really baggy clothes to try and hide it. It's uncomfortable when someone brushes up against you. It's just looking down and seeing that belly and being like, why is it there? Like, I'm doing enough. Why is this not working? So that's the reason I went down this journey of lifestyle changes that are natural with the goal of improving my hormonal balance. I am now month 10 into a pain-free period. You heard that right. I have no pain, which is so it's so uncommon, but also quite it's actually a bit odd to describe, because I almost, when I have my periods, because I've had painful periods for so long, when it comes to that month, I'm like, is it gonna hurt? Okay, it might hurt. It's not hurting. And this is the beauty about when you implement this 40 process, 40 method, which I'm going to go into it. So I work with my ladies one-to-one, and they all start with a personalized nutrition guidance. So this doesn't mean a generic advice plan saying you need to eat this and this. I deep dive into their lifestyle. So phase 1 of the 40 method is called truth. We look at where you currently are. We look at what you like, what you don't like, what's your lifestyle like, what's your work like, what's your stress like. We really understand you as a person before giving you advice. Then I look at your protein and your fiber. So here's my bonus tip. If you want to know how much protein to get a pen and paper. Make sure your weight is in pounds. So not kilos, not stone, converted to pounds, and then times it by 0.8. If I had a whiteboard here, I would write that down. So let's just say you weigh 150 pounds, you times that by 0.8, that will give you your protein amount in a day, so 120 grams. But it's also very much dependent on your lifestyle. So if you're very active and you have a protein intake of 120, you might need to have more because you are expending more, but also you're acquiring more optimal function from your hormones. And that's the key. Number 2, when it comes to nutrition, is fiber. Bonus tip, how much fiber should you be having? At least 25 grams a day, okay? The most important meal, in my opinion, and what the science is saying, and yes, it could be subject to change because that's the way the world works. This definitely works for myself and all the ladies I've helped, is a good breakfast. Now, that doesn't mean you have to have breakfast at 9 a.m. Breakfast just means breaking your fast, okay? So whenever you are hungry in the morning, whether that's at 7 a.m., midday, or 3 p.m., whatever rule of thumb you eat at, make sure it is at least 30 grams of protein and a decent amount of fiber. Okay, that's your bonus tip right there. We also look in the truth phase at emulsifiers, seed oils, all these hidden chemicals that are, especially if you're someone with like struggling with PCOS, endometriosis, if you have a highly inflamed body, need to look at these hidden ingredients because they caught me out way too much. I'll give you an example. Protein powders and protein yogurts. The big fuss, right? Protein here, you need to have a protein here. Well, it's like a little dance. Protein vibes all over the place. Protein is good for you. We know that. There's loads of science now to prove it. However, bad protein, so the synthetic protein, I teach my females to eat a diet of whole protein first, whole food first. That's the goal. If nature's made it, we eat it. If nature didn't make it, we don't eat it. It's that simple. So that is truth. Now, the amazing thing about truth is when these ladies and everyone that's worked for me has achieved this, they implement this and they have me to account for on a weekly basis. When it comes to phase 2, which is the transition phase, the fat loss is happening. So on average, ladies I work with lose between 6 to 8 pounds in 6 weeks. Yeah, that's an age range of whether they're 30 years old, 40 or 50. They lose between 6 to 8 pounds, no dieting at all, just through these simple changes in the weeks of truth. Amazing, right? Not only that, they have better habits now, they have educated awareness. So what tends to happen in the transition phase is they have this questioning mindset, this curiosity, which we all do, but they now have the science behind it to support it. So they get more inner confidence, which then leads nicely onto the third phase of the T4 method, which is the transform phase. And this is where these habits are installed, and it's like not even a thought anymore. It's second nature. The confidence in the transform phase with all of the ladies I work with is inspirational, because they will message me going, I've walked into the supermarket. I know exactly what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat for me to optimize my hormones. And I can't thank you enough. And that's just incredible, right? Like, how often do you walk into a supermarket and just go, I have no idea what to eat, because this packet says healthy, this packet says not healthy, this influencer says eat this influencer says don't eat this. You just feel overwhelmed, right? So the transition phase for me is a biggie, and that leads nicely onto the fourth phase of the T4 method, which is the thrive phase. And this is where you really are thriving from the inside out. And we develop and really, I suppose, round up your hormonal guidebook. And I'm struggling between what word to call it, because it's Bible can insinuate so many things, but it's basically like your personal book on your hormonal health. Now, why is that important? Because ladies, no matter what age you are, unless you're in postmenopause, a lot of changes are going to happen, right? We now have proof to show that the brain changes 3 times in a lifetime. If you've eased and breezed through menstruation, perimenopause, menopause into postmenopause, and you're like, yeah, I'm done. Hats off to you, kudos. Unfortunately, for a lot of females, that doesn't happen. There is a lot of symptoms, like a big array of symptoms that can actually happen, transitioning from a period to not having a period. And that can take up to between 7 to 15 years. That's a long time to have things like night sweats, brain fog, bloating, anxiety, weight gain. It's just depressing and debilitating. So this is why I have created this method, and this is why I'm so passionate to share this information, which is basically my coaching program, completely free to you to implement. Okay, what you are doing if you want to work with me is you're going to have me at the end of the phone. You'll have me for accountability, because that really ensures that you implement everything I've just taught you. And that's the reason I have a coach. That's the reason everyone has a mentor, is you probably know the information, and YouTube is amazing at teaching you all this information. There's so many wonderful people out there giving this information for free. But it's like, do you implement it? Do you actually stay consistent in your busy life? No. And that's where you have a coach. I have a coach. My coach is a coach. It's just a really easy way of saving yourself time, precious time, but also speed and fast tracking your pain, the road of pain to get there. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of us can suffer and think it's normal to suffer. Like I said, I suffered with my periods for so long when it wasn't normal. Like within 2 months of implementing these strategies I've just taught you, I noticed a change in my period. And then I was like, this is getting better. Month 10 of my period now is pain-free. The bleeding is normal. It's a beautiful red color. It is not thick, it is light. And I love that. And it's so proud to be a female that can express this and show this to you, because nowadays so many of us are struggling and we think it's normal to hate our period, when actually it's because our body is talking to us. Our body is constantly talking to us. So some of the ladies I've helped through the 4T method, I have helped hundreds, but I'm going to give you some examples of someone at each stage. So I worked with a lovely lady called Emma who had PCOS type 1 and type 2, so inflammation and insulin resistance. Now with Emma, she lost 8 pounds in 6 weeks. I'll say that again. She lost 8 pounds in 6 weeks and managed this PCOS, which the symptoms have halved in only 6 weeks. Just amazing. I've also helped a lady in her, so 45 years old, going through perimenopause, night sweats, bloating, gaining weight, despite going to the gym and eating healthy. We've helped her. She's lost 6 pounds in 4 weeks of not dieting. Now, she was someone who was taught and thought, because this is what happens in your 20s, is you do more cardio and you think it's going to burn more weight and burn more calories, and to a point it does. But fundamentally, when you're going through hormonal change and your cortisol is high, the last thing you want to do is do HIIT-based training. So we swapped that out for weight training with her, and she's followed the principles of the nutrition. So high protein, high fiber. The other thing that we did, because she's also suffered with snacking, which her cravings were through the roof, is we implemented the amazing Jessie Inchcape, which is the glucose goddess, and her strategies of simple things like apple cider vinegar, coating your carbs. There's so many, just to help bring that glucose spike down, not peak, made a big difference to her cravings, which means she was actually eating three meals plus a snack and still losing weight. Amazing. And the last lady that I'm just going to share with you is a postmenopausal woman who, Tracy, amazing lady, so wise, such a wonderful person to work with. She was struggling with sleep, with, again, weight loss. She'd hit this plateau and she was like, it's just how it is. This is, this is my weight nowadays. And the biggest thing that she noticed was the weight loss was happening every week. She lost a total of 6 pounds in 6 weeks. And she noticed a big difference in her inner belief and confidence. She felt confident going for a meal, knowing what food to eat, knowing how, when, and what to eat to optimize herself and her energy. She was suffering with bad sleep. Now, her sleep improved in the 6 weeks. It wasn't perfect, but in 6 weeks. So just imagine where she's going to be in 3 to 6 months' time. It's now 8 weeks and she's lost a kilo, and she says that she's noticing changes in her sleep. So that to me is the body resetting. That is the hormones. That's her inner gut microbiome functioning better because she's feeding herself better and she's making more confident choices. This works. And if you have any questions for me, comment below. My website is trueselfmastery.com. I'm available there. If you want to jump on a free call with myself to discuss how I can help you and give you as much value as I can, please just comment below and I'll send through the link. And if you have any questions, you know where I am.